here at the Austin Bat Refuge in Austin, Texas, and they were super nice to let me come out here and meet all of their bats and film with them and show you guys. They said they get over 300 bats a year usually, but with the freeze that we had in Texas last year, they got like thousands of bats, so they could really use our support. So I thought I'd come out here and show you guys all the little bats. So hopefully with this video we can learn more about bats today by asking the experts directly, and at the same time dispel some of the more common myths about bats, because they get a bad reputation when in reality they are incredibly beneficial to us and are extremely important for the health of the ecosystem. Plus, they're just freaking adorable. Don't forget to check out Austin Bat Refuge on all of their social medias. Happy Halloween if you celebrate it, and let's go look at some bats.
We do have 3 in this corner. Can you find them?
There's one right there, right?
He's got a good eye, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's all over it.
That's hard to spot too.
I got an eye for bats or something.
Yeah.
So do you take them all down every day and feed them and everything?
Sure, we're about to do that.
Ooh, yay!
If you like, and if you're willing to, we could glove you up and have you hold them.
Oh, I would love to.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's kind of sleepy because she feels the chill in the air.
Yeah.
So when I picked her up, she opened her mouth like, ooh, don't mess with me. You want to wake up and eat some food? This is how we feed them. We put the mealworm the back of the neck, pretty much is what we do. So I imagine you must feed a lot of worms in your course of your day. It's going to take her a little while to warm up.
What species is she?
She's an eastern red bat.
Eastern red
So
bat.
she's the kind who has big furry tail. So the bats under the bridge are Mexican free tails, and they have a tail that extends beyond the tail membrane, whereas these bats have a tail membrane that's big and furry and covers the tip of their tail. And they use it for a blanket and a poncho to keep warm and dry when they're hanging in the trees. So they've got a little foot here, and they'll hang by one foot and wrap themselves up in this big furry tail and just look like a little ball hanging from a stem. That's what they do all day long. And when they hunt, they fly along like that, and they do backflips and use their tail as a catcher's mitt.
They catch it with their tail?
Yeah, they catch like this and they go whoo, they do little backflips, and then they fly off, biting and kicking them off as they're flying.
So will she get
This
any
is
bigger than this?
Full-grown eastern red bat. I mean, she'll get a lot bigger next spring when she's pregnant with 4 babies. She can nurse all 4 babies at the same time. There'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 babies hanging in a row. There's 2 nipples here and 2 at the bottom, more spread out by her elbows, so the babies don't have to overlap to nurse. She'll be a great mom next year. She was this year's baby herself, but she'll be giving birth to 4 little pups of her own next year. These are her thumbs right here. So that's the only digit on her hand that's not a wing.
What were their names again?
This is Jackie, and this is Sheila.
Jackie and Sheila.
It kind of helps to have a little competition or encouragement, you might want to call it. But because Jackie, she feels there's kind of a low dew point. That means it's going to get chilly tonight, and she knows that. She would just as soon have slept and not raised her metabolism. We have to get their metabolism going so that they will eat.
They look so pretty together.
Is she a different species?
She's a Seminole bat, and they're real common from Florida all the way out to just the eastern side of Austin. They hang in loblolly pines and pretend they're pine cones. So there are no pine cones to the west of us until you get way out in West Texas in the mountains. But the range of this species pretty much ends at the end of the eastern pine forest. So when we release these bats, we always get them a big old pine forest where they'll feel at home. She lost a canine before she came to us. We'll probably overwinter her and wait until her chances of making it in the wild are optimized, and that would be in the spring when more insects start hatching out again. She just started putting on weight a couple of weeks ago, and we thought about maybe trying to get her out the door, but I think it's a little too premature for her, given that she only has 1 canine. We need to give her the best chance of making it out there. So,
do you have any bats that you keep here that are non-releasable?
we do have some. We have some that came in with wing fractures, compound fractures that we attempted to fix, and we're not successful with all our attempted repairs. So the ones that the break healed but not well enough for them to fly, we have quite a few of those bats. Some are actually even amputations, because sometimes there's just very little to work with when they come in. It can be really kind of sad.
Yeah.
But
Well, they have a very lovely place to live out their days.
Well, you know what, they do, and they have plenty of company. They've got lots of other bats to live with. The them. They get along really well, but these species are actually solitary and they only roost in groups when they have babies. But they do take comfort in each other. Like this, there's a little male red bat over here who's pretty crazy about her. They're kind of an exception to the rule. They will roost together once in a while, and we think it's pretty adorable. But the Mexican freetails roost in big colonies, and so those are the ones that we get the most non-releasables, and they roost in big groups and have a great time. They're adorable though. Look at these little bats.
I know, they're so cute. I really hope this video will show some people how cute they are, because some people are just inherently scared of them.
I know, and so that's our whole goal this year, was just to get people to just create a little empathy for them, you know, to let people show people what they're really like, and just say, look, this is how similar they are to us, you know. They love their children.
They love their food.
Yeah,
their naps.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Just like me.
And they get scared too, you know. They're scared of stuff, you know, but then they get brave, you know, to overcome their fear and stuff. You can see all those emotions going through them every day when we work with them. Look at her big furry tail, that big old butt blanket. We call it their butt blanket. Look at her little feet tucked together there.
Oh,
hanging
so
from
cute.
the crease in my glove. That makes her feel right at home. In fact, they won't really eat until they have a good grip with their feet. She was happy to just be asleep with a worm in her mouth.
They do eat a lot of insects, and they can eat 3/4 of their body weight, especially the nursing females.
I have to show you how beautiful she is. She's so gorgeous. Look at this coloration.
Whoa.
Look at the beautiful fur under that wing. It's just gorgeous. And here you're seeing her elbow, her wrist and thumb.
Arms and a wrist and a thumb and 4 fingers.
Is she looking for more?
Oh yeah. So she's good. Pretty hard to resist a little face like that. If we had our bat detector on, we would have heard her clicking like crazy right there. She was echolocating her. Might have been scanning you and digitizing your face and uploading you to the bat web. Who knows?
That is so cool.
Yeah, that's what they do.
So they communicate with each other that way too, right?
Oh yeah.
Sure. They have social
they
calls.
have vocalizations and echolocation calls, which are different from one another.
So that's his, at first glance it looks like his wing, but it's his tail. Oh, he's so much more red.
Yeah, so he's a male Eastern red. That's a female Eastern red, a male Eastern red, and a female Seminole. Good girl, little bat. Good girl, Sheila. Come on, chicken wing.
Oh, I wish you guys lived closer. We would definitely come help you all the time.
You know, I feel so lucky to be able to do this, you know, just to be able to have people bring us these amazing animals day after day and be able to care for them, be able to try to make a difference in the world, you know, try to make the world a better place. And if I have to stay in one place to do it, it's okay. You know, the world pretty much seems to come to us. We put a table out under Congress Avenue Bridge on Friday and Saturday nights when it's not a pandemic. And it's amazing. The people come from all over the world to see these bats. We're meeting them when they're at their most enthusiastic and most in love and awestruck with nature, you know, and it's really an amazing experience. It charges my batteries like nothing else.
So cool that you guys can go teach the public about bats like that.
Oh, I love that color combination of those 3. Look how different each one is. That's such
got your
pretty...
vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Right
Yeah, such a pretty combination.
Bats.
Cute.
I hope it didn't bother people to see the worms wiggling around. We kind of minimize that on our posts. We kind of wait till the bat is almost finished before we start filming. We have to feed them live because if they're dead, we don't know how long they've been dead. They could be rancid and it could kill them. We don't want to give them food poisoning.
Not as much nutrition in them too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you guys
Lots
are
of
super
worms.
familiar with mealworms.
Or most of my viewers are familiar with like reptiles and animals, so they'll probably see the worms and be like, oh, well, that's a
I love
mealworm.
reptiles too.
Good,
I would
good.
have lizards if I could. I love lizards.
Look how beautiful that wing is. Isn't she gorgeous?
Super pretty.
Good girl, Sheila. Is that it? Should we look at your belly? Oh, that big fat belly.
Oh,
Look at that big fat tummy.
plump.
Oh, good girl. They like a good tummy rub after a meal.
Do they?
Oh,
They
yeah.
seem to really enjoy it. Yeah.
Good
See,
girl.
Oh
see
my
what she's doing
gosh.
with her mouth.
What a good girl.
That's a sign of pleasure.
And they start purring like that when
they
they're
do.
little too. They vibrate like crazy when they purr.
They
She's
do?
not
I had
quite
no
doing
idea.
it. These are happy little buds here. They kind of like their life.
They're like, we'll just stay here. Y'all don't have to let us go.
Neither one of these fly well enough to be released. That's why they're still here. The weakest flyers out of all the bats we had this summer. Yeah, so Chicken Wing and Sheila were the worst flyers of the bunch. Jackie actually flies pretty well. She's just missing that canine. Oh, she can't.
Ooh, ooh. I think that's one of the big common misconceptions I hear is people think if you see bats flying around, they're gonna fly at you and attack you.
They don't do that, but they do eat insects that are flying around you. A lot of people will have bats that roost near swimming pools, and one of the places that bats in Texas drink from the most is swimming pools because there's not very much water, you know, in the state of Texas. So people will be swimming and they'll think there'll be bats coming down to drink, and they'll think, oh my God, they're attacking us. But they're just coming down to get a drink of water.
Great at Congress Avenue Bridge. I've got a great safety record right in the heart of downtown.
For what, 40 years?
Yeah,
almost?
Millions of bats have been coming out every night for 40 years.
Since
thousands of tourists. To public knowledge, no one's ever contracted an illness from those bats of any kind.
That we know of.
Yeah, so that's really a remarkable safety record.
So do these species all hibernate?
These leaf bats have
They'll
been known
hibernate or go into torpor under leaf litter on the ground sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
When it gets really cold, they'll drop from the foliage and bury in those dead leaves. This winter, we found quite a few bats that dug themselves into the leaf litter and then were covered with a blanket of snow. And they survived.
So that's just like one more reason why you should leave your leaves.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We never rake our leaves.
I try to tell people that to leave their leaves. That's why they're called freetails.
Yeah, because they're now all bats have a tail, but they have a kind of a short Europatagium there, so it sticks out.
It's
like
not covered by fur either.
No, and their whole butt, their butt cheeks are naked. They're all naked from that line down. It's so funny.
Oh, hi. Oh my God.
They are the cutest bats in the entire world.
So cute.
Isn't that the cutest bat? The little wrinkled lips and the overbite. Oh my God. Oh, I know. Are you going to fly? I was like, oh, I want to fly. I'd like you to leave me.
Pretty wing. What's that spot right there?
I think it's a piece of guano.
Oh.
Well, actually it isn't.
So guano is
a
special word for bat feces, right?
That's right. And it's the best fertilizer in the world. It's got such a high nitrogen content. People have mined guano from bat caves all over the world for hundreds of years.
Terrible humans. Always messing with you. But she sounds like a little wind-up toy, that little noise. But
it's so cool hearing that up close.
But they're fierce. And they're really great flyers. They're really great hunters. Isn't she beautiful? Look at those wings.
So pretty.
Pink forearms.
That's one way that's easy to recognize the species.
Is the
pink forearms.
Hello, pretty girl. You're okay. It's all right. We're getting lots of calls. We took in 4 in the last 5 days. And they're moving across town from the foliage back to the caves where they spend the winter. So right now they're passing through Austin and people are finding them in all kinds of weird places.
Woo! Oh, woo!
This box right here is full of honeycombs, the old Beekeepers Box that the bees abandoned because the honeycomb got too dark. And then the waxworm moths move in, lay their eggs in it. Worms hatch out and clean the honeycomb. The moths hatch out, fly around this black light at night, and the bats get to practice their hunting skills. So that's what this is all about.
That's super cool.
We also are growing brassicas, winter greens, to draw the moths that love to lay their eggs on the winter green. And those hatch out and become moths and provide more. So
the crop growing thing, I guess that's just another example of how bats benefit humans by eating pest bugs off of crops.
Yeah, not only do they protect the agricultural crops like corn and cotton and all other vegetables, but they're also protecting the honey crop. See in this palm frond? Can you see?
Yeah.
This is little Beanie here.
Beanie.
Beanie is Burger's daughter.
Burger.
So that's her official name.
Her name
Beanie
is
Beanie
Burger's daughter.
So she was found at Plowburger, which is our favorite little vegan food truck right before the freeze. She wasn't found because she wasn't born yet, but we found Burger out there. When Beanie was born, we just thought, well, that's a perfect fit for a vegan burger truck. So she's the Bean Burger kid.
Cute. And what is she?
She's a southern yellow bat. I'm crazy about
And this is where they roost in dried, dead palm fronds. And so when people trim those, it's a really bad thing for these bats and for a lot of other kinds of animals that use them for roost. You know, I don't know if it's climate change or exactly what's happened, but we never expected to see southern yellow bats here actually roosting in
She's never eaten a mealworm.
It's a very big surprise.
We feed her blended food.
I saw you make a puree or something.
Yeah. So that's what most of these bats have been raised on. She's never actually eaten a real mealworm in her whole life.
Does it taste really good to them?
I think it tastes wonderful. It sounds so gross, but they really like the taste. Blended mealworms. There's vitamins and minerals and a few other things in there too. Some baby food.
Look at you.
She liked it, huh?
She liked that. They like the insides.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's harder for them to, not hard, they can do it physically, but they
Good
just don't,
girl.
they're just lazy
They're
after
lazy.
having soft food all this time.
Spoiled bats.
Good girl, Beanie.
And it's just different for them.
You need to practice eating these bugs. The reason her mom wasn't released was her palm tree died.
We lost most of the palm trees in town during that freeze.
Come on, sweet girl. Oh, that's so great. You got a long way to go too, kid. To be fair, it's not dark yet. They're kind of full. I'm not convinced that she's really ready. Anyway, she can do much better than that though, if it's dark.
Oh, there's so many in there.
2 girls and a boy. The girls are Dijon and Poupon. The boy is Remy.
Remy. So you can tell them all apart just by looking.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody kicks all the bats out of their attic, which is called a bat exclusion. Suddenly, you've got bats that need a home, and then maybe they'll move in. They will have seen that box probably on their nightly flights. It's great when bats move in and you can have a maternity colony in a bat house and have babies born. It's wonderful. So I would say it's absolutely worth it, but don't have super high expectations for, sudden tenants.
We thought about getting one and just putting it out just for the heck of it.
We have something on our website that is sort of the best practices, how high you should put it and how big the bat house should be at a minimum and that sort of thing.
So I've got a couple of evening bats here, and they're pretty fun to look at.
Cool.
See how beautifully colored they are? So these are 2 evening bats, which look very much like the big browns.
But about
they're much
3
smaller.
times smaller. They're such beautiful little
They're
bats, and they
so-
usually complain a lot. I'm surprised they're not right now.
I know.
They got some pretty thick fur on them.
They're getting
Yeah.
super thick fur for the winter.
I didn't know they grow like a winter coat.
Absolutely.
So how many
They're
bats
pretty little
do you
bats.
think you take in a year, would you say?
Usually about 350 or so.
Wow.
We took in a lot more this year because of all the bats that came in during the freeze. Well, we took in about 4,000, but about 3/4 of those were DOA, unfortunately.
Aw.
So,
But
From
we
the
managed to
freeze?
turn a bunch of them around and get them back out to the bridges. So we
yeah,
feel like we
did
were
the best we could with them.
Yeah, it was hard. We're not used to seeing that kind of carnage and devastation, but we got all the ones that were able to survive, that had survived, back out to the bridge if they could fly. We sub-Q'd them once a day, fed them twice a day for months. While we went through them and figured out who could fly, who couldn't.
Wow. Wow, you guys are like the bat heroes. That's amazing.
Well, we do our best, that's for sure. We still have 9 bats from the freeze that don't want to fly, but we're going to keep trying to get them to fly because they will be much happier if they can fly. We tell people that they should never try to grab a bat, and certainly not, even if you're rescuing it, certainly not with a bare hand, because like any wild animal, if threatened, they might bite.
What it boils down to is never stick your finger in a bat's mouth.
That's kind of the story,
Don't
right?
pick one up with
Good
your bare
advice.
hands, and there's very little to worry about.
The really sad part is that if someone is bitten by a bat, the bat has to be euthanized and tested for rabies. And it's not because most bats have rabies, because the opposite is actually true. The vast majority of bats never get rabies. They don't carry the virus like a lot of people say. But if you get bitten, that bat, you can't test a live animal for rabies, unfortunately.
Because they don't carry it. If they have it, they're gonna die, and
Exactly,
they
that's
don't.
exactly right.
Yeah.
The bats that are brought to the health department for testing, that's going to be a higher percentage of rabid bats because those are bats that were compromised and were easily caught. They were on the ground. There was something not quite right with that bat from the beginning. It varies depending on how many bats are turned in any given city or state.
We really like to discourage the use of percentages no matter what, because people can't help but do the math, and then when they do the math and there's a bridge as big as Congress Avenue Bridge, suddenly the
1%
fear
is
factor
kind of a
just
lot
goes
of bats.
up through the roof, and you've got 2 people running around the crowd saying there's 10,000 rabid bats on that bridge, and that's the last thing in the world they need.
You really don't
Because
want
it's
that.
not true. We say the vast majority of bats never get rabies.
And that's
the way we
an
like to leave it.
absolutely accurate statement. Hi,
And if you
sweetheart.
just simply left alone, they're completely harmless.
Did you see that
Yeah.
little mouth?
Also, I mean, I think I was reading one of the reasons why the numbers for bats with rabies are so high is because there's so many of them too,
There's so
and
many
there's
of
around
them.
people all
And
the
there's
time.
yeah, and they're tiny and they're easily
They're tested
retrieved
more.
and
Yeah.
and taken to a health department or animal control is called. Oh look!
Oh, oh, he's going too.
She just look.
She went back in the box.
If she's stuck.
Oh, there she goes.
This is a cave Myotis, one of the species you might find in Abilene and any of the caves out there.
These
They,
are the coolest
Really?
bats.
they roost with Mexican freetails quite often.
One way you can recognize this species is the bare ring around the eye.
His little mouth.
Hi, sweetheart. This is Moby.
Moby.
Oh my goodness.
Moby's entire
This is
torso
fantastic.
underneath too is that beautiful cream color.
Wow.
You got to see another freetail earlier, but
Yeah.
so you saw what the normal coloration is.
And the rest of his arms and tail, membrane and everything and face are normal colored brown.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean we've seen them often over the years with like a stripe or a sort of a spot somewhere, but we've never seen one like this.
So will he be one that you'll keep here at the sanctuary?
We're
Is it
not
his
sure what's
color?
You know,
going on
we're
with
not
Moby.
sure.
He never did fly the way we want to see a wild freetail fly, just being incredibly aerodynamic and ripping a turn and fully extended, just shredding the cage.
And if he can't fly expertly, the fact that he's this light color is going to get him picked off by a
Yeah.
predator would worry about that. So we can't release him until he really exhibits expert flight.
Oh, he's got big ears.
So I think you ought to do a video with Moby.
I would love to.
Moby.
Oh, he's
He's purring
adorable.
like crazy right now.
This is my big brown girl,
Oh,
Queenie.
she's so cute.
See, doesn't she look a lot like those little evening bats?
Yeah.
Except she's so big. She is a big brown bat.
Oh, they're really called big
They're
brown
really,
bats.
yeah, that's really the common name. Oh, there you go. Now we're talking. See that right arm is twisted. Her injury prevents her from flying.
So she stays in like a little cubby like that?
She's in there. We leave it open so she can get out. She can climb out. She may actually have a little bit of flight. We've never caught her flying, but we did find her at the other end of the cage one day. She's a beauty. She's purring too. Here, feel that right there.
Oh my goodness.
They're so soft.
She likes attention.
Oh.
And sometimes, speaking of, different species getting together, she hangs in here once in a while. A freetail or an evening bat will just be in there with her for a few days. It's like, oh,
They just
okay.
hang out.
Hang out.
This is what you do full time, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what we do full time.
Taking care of bats.
Pretty
All
much.
the time.
That's right.
So you guys are the only ones here that do
Only
this?
ones. That's why we get so many bats.
Wow.
Nobody
The only
else.
ones south of Fort Worth. There's one other woman in San Antonio.
No one in Houston.
We take
So
all
the
the
whole
bats.
south of Texas, we get bats from all over the place.
So do you accept calls like all the time for bats?
The other
Wow.
night the phone rang at 1 o'clock in the morning and he answered it and got dressed and went out and picked up a bat.
Inside this.
I'm holding bats, guys.
Hi, Moby. This is Cat.
Hi,
Right here.
buddy.
You have poop on your back, dude?
He's like, I just wanted to put some makeup on.
Somebody asked me this morning, just this morning, it's true that bat guano is in eyeshadow, right?
That's not true
It's
though.
not true.
No, that goes a long way, that myth.
Squeeze those fingers together and open these. So that it makes like an ice cream cone. And then he wiggles down in there and he should kind of calm down a little bit. It's all right. Stay right there. See how calm that is? Good boy.
So this is Moby. He is what we think to be a leucistic
Mexican freetail
Mexican freetail bat at the Austin Bat Refuge. And they were so nice to let me come out here and meet all their bats and make a video for you guys. It's just so cute. Oh, he says I'm hungry. So you can follow them pretty much everywhere on Instagram, TikTok. They make a lot of really awesome videos about their bats on Instagram. And you guys can check them out on their website too. I wanted to make like a little Halloween special video for you guys, and I thought what better thing to do than go check out some freaking bats.
Look at it's freaking bats. I love Halloween.
They're definitely doing some amazing things for these little guys. You can go check out their website and find ways you can support them, and they have merch too. Your shirts are very cute.
Thank you.
Let's look at some more bats. This is Jackie and this is Chicken Wing. They all have names and they can like look at them all and identify them just by looking at them because they love these little guys and they treat them like family. They're so cute. Oh, another one.
This Sheila.
Oh, Sheila again.
Eastern red female, Eastern red male, and a Seminole female.
Sheila, chicken wing, Jack. With this video, I really want to like help dispel some of the myths about bats because there are a lot of them. They're not scary, they're not out to hurt people, and they're very cute. They're very beneficial to us in many ways. Oh yes, hello.
This is great enrichment for them to meet you.
I love her so much.
She's a great little bat.
So how many years have you been doing this again?
We've been doing it off and on since 2006. We started doing it full time, officially as a nonprofit in 2015.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's been a full-time gig for quite a while now.
Do you ever want to have a public facility or something like that someday where people can get tours?
We'd love that, yeah. We think that would be great.
You're helping more bats, the bigger
Yeah.
you can expand. And
Someplace downtown and in the flight path of all the Congress Mexican Freetail Bats would be ideal. So
oh, that'd be
we're
amazing.
open to any kind of offers.
So how can we as individuals help bats? People love seeing your pictures and want to know how, you know, they can help you guys, help you help bats.
There's always groups that can use help. If there's a bat group in your area, reach out to them and say, is there any way I can help you? So for our group here, we have volunteers that come from BUT on a regular basis.
Oh.
We used to have 27 a week before the pandemic, but we had to send them all home for a while until things calmed down. But now we're starting to open up again, and that's a great way to get involved. Getting involved in transport is a really helpful way. If they're willing to drive, bring a bat to a central facility such as ours, it's a great way to get to know us and just to be able to contribute to helping bats. It's a great way to get your foot in the door if you ever want to start volunteering on a regular basis too.
Yeah, I didn't think about that because you get lots of calls probably from people who are hours away, and since you're the only one in the area, I'm sure you need people to
You'll
help.
be hearing from us next time you get a bat in Abilene.
Oh, I will,
You'll be
absolutely.
hearing from us. Another way you can help bats is just to be an advocate for them. Bats get a bad rap. It seems like everything that comes along gets blamed on bats. They're easy to blame. They're, you know, people don't know much about them. They fly at night. People aren't familiar with them. And learn about bats. You know, they're highly beneficial, completely harmless if simply left alone, fascinating, and vital to the balance of nature. So learn about bats, be an advocate for them, speak up in their defense.
So if you find a bat in like an unwanted location, what's the best thing to do?
Bats can get into compromising situations for all kinds of reasons. They can sometimes be injured and be on the ground. They can be cold stunned on the ground and in a place that's not normal. Sometimes they just hang low on a building wall where they're in reach of cats or little children. So if a bat's hanging above that, there's probably little wrong with the bat because it's able to fly up and land in a place that's high and out of the way. If they're roosting under an overhang on a building, some people may not want them there, but that's no reason to disturb that bat. They're completely harmless if they're hanging high and out of the way. And many species, this species and other tricolors especially, will shelter under overhangs during inclement weather. If simply left alone, they're completely harmless. They're not going to be a threat to you or your family. But if it turns out that they do need help, if they're hanging low or if they're on the ground, then the best thing to do is go to our website at austinbatrefuge.org to the Found a Bat page and watch a short video of how to safely contain a bat. They don't all need to be contained. A bat like this that's on the ground could be rescued by simply wiggling a stick underneath her feet, and she grabs onto the stick like this, and you just lift her up and put her in a tree. Many times that's all you need to do for a bat, and you will have saved that bat's life. But you use a long stick so that you don't get your fingers anywhere near the bat's mouth. There's no danger to helping a little bat like that if you simply don't stick your finger in its mouth. Sometimes they have to be contained in a box, and that's real easy to do, just like catching the daddy long legs in your house. Put a box over them, slide a little something behind them, you know, make them fall into the box and put the lid on. It's real easy, and it's really a great thing to do. It's so heartwarming to see people go out of their way on a daily basis to help a little animal that's a little less fortunate and just had a bad run of luck. You know, our hearts go out to these little bats, you know, and I'm so glad to see that other people feel the same way. Every little act of kindness in the world really makes a difference, and they ripple out and have a huge effect. And the world needs a little more kindness right now. We're really grateful for the citizens of Austin and all of Texas when they do that and step up and bring us a little bat that needs care. and we're happy to help.
I mean, you're saving so many bat lives and you're inspiring other people to do the same and teaching them about bats. And me, for one, I learned so much just coming here today. So hopefully all the people that watch this can learn a couple things. If they do have more questions, you have a blog, right, with lots of bat information on it?
We do. We have a blog. There's a lot of great information there, and it's well worth perusing. One of the things that's really cool there is a photo of a barred owl flying over the cage here. Go to the blog and search for owls and see what comes up. But there's tons of other great information scattered throughout the website. We have local species page, we have the Congress Avenue Bridge page, we have a radar page that shows what the bats in all of Central Texas do on a nightly basis.
That is so
watch
cool.
videos of them flying over and covering the entire state and providing free pest control to the entire state of Texas on a nightly basis. So they're unsung heroes, the primary predator of night-flying insects, and we'd pay a lot more money and we'd have to use a lot more pesticides on our food if it wasn't for bats. Give them that free pest control every night. We owe them a big debt of gratitude.
That made me think of something else. I know one thing that a lot of people think of when they think of bats are the ones that drink blood. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's only 3 species that do that out of the 1,300 plus species of bats that there are.
That's exactly right. There's only 3 species out of all the 1,400 now and counting species of bats. Only 3 of them are blood drinking bats. None of them live in the United States. 2 species only drink blood from birds in the forest.
Birds?
Yeah, they'll sneak up on a bird that's roosting on a branch. They'll just sneak up and make a little cut in its foot and just simply lap the blood. And they rarely do much harm to the birds. One of the common vampire will feed on cattle, and it can be more of a problem in Latin America. So we do have reports once in a while where people say, oh, you know, they're camping in Texas somewhere and they wake up in the morning and they have little marks on their legs and they go, we were bitten by vampire bats. It's so funny, you know, really I think they just had a little too much of a party the night before. And of course they blame it on bats, so bats get the blame for
Bats always get the blame for things.
So it's important for us to level the playing field.
Look at that little face.
And be an advocate for them. Look at that innocent little face. Did this little bat do anything? But she's purring like a maniac right now. She had a fun time this afternoon.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah,
Thanks for letting me hold you.
Good girl,
Miss Sheila. I've also heard some people say they're like dirty and...
They groom just like cats do, so they're cleaner than your nephew by far. Some of them have built-in combs and brushes on their feet. When we see a bat that's not clean, we suspect there might be something wrong with him. Like he's not feeling well, he's dehydrated.
Well, thank you so much again for having us out here.
Sure, our great pleasure. It was such a pleasure to meet you, CATALEAH. So thank you so much for having the interest and for loving these bats.